Hey, this is Neo Ra with a part two on that last video, talking about healing from past relationships and being able to experience, if anybody's interested, in not walking this path alone, solo mission, which is a choice, right? We can choose at some point to be in a relationship with ourselves, our higher selves, our ancestors, nature, earth, and not be in a romantic, intimate relationship, partnership, or multiple at once. If people are able to manage that energetically, physically, emotionally, and mentally. But I suggest that would be a much more advanced school of thought, um, the poly life, which a lot of people are navigating. I don't know how successfully, and I don't know that it's not out of a reaction to this not working. Honestly, I don't know that. Do I think it's possible? I think anything's possible. There are an infinite number of ways to navigate these realms. But if we don't start off having a healthy relationship with ourselves, because the models that we've had in relationships are that they're toxic and that people lie and that's who people are, and that you should expect at some point to be totally defeated at the end. That might be a reason people choose the multiple relationship path, so they don't expect that and they're already in other relationships. If one does end, right, then they can act like they got this solution to this not working by having a whole bunch of a roster, right? If one person falls off the team isn't out for the season. You just swapping people out. If that, I'm not here to judge, and if that's something people can do successfully, then more power to you, right? More power to you, Ten of Wands, no judgment. If you're able to navigate multiple partners in a healthy way. For the people who are not, and who are just looking for this one partner, or the people who have decided that they're not ready for that, or that that's no longer important, you're just going to be on your mission as the archetype, embodying the archetype of a teacher or a guide or a parent, um, or working on yourself. Those are all options that are honorable and valuable ways to navigate these realms and help people out of bondage. The devil card. Help free people who are stuck. That's an honorable way to use your time as a earthling, a person on this planet in a body, is to do the work and to share that, because this sucks. And some people, I am sorry to say, I've seen go their whole life in bondage, and say, even I've even said it, that the earth is a slave planet. And that experience is limiting, right? And it's because there's all these illusions, and the truth is hidden from people. See him with the lantern. So people that have figured out the truth, and they figured out how to navigate earth and these realms and get past all these. This represents earth, physical bondage, being addicted or attached to this earth and not in it, not of it. What is the saying? In it, but not of it. That's this card, in it, but not of it. If you're of it, you're stuck here, right? And you go your whole life stuck to money and chasing financial gain and accumulating wealth. That's not to say having generational wealth is a curse. That's another false reality. Having money isn't evil. Being attached to it like it's the only most important thing and you should do whatever you can do to get it, because that's where you're going to get happiness from, is a lie. That's an illusion. Some of the most wealthiest, successfully and attaining money people aren't happy, right? They're not 10 of cups. They're not out here dancing in the hugging trees and dancing in nature and laughing and smiling and giving all their money away. They're not doing that. Are there people who have money and do that? I'm sure there are. I don't know personally. Who's the famous YouTuber who he started a restaurant and he just gives away money? That guy, whoever, you know what I'm talking about. Famous guy, right? Um, that's his path. He's walking on his path, and he's figured out how to master wealth and take people out of this mindset. And he uses the YouTube platform to do that. Um, what's the point? The point is, you can walk alone, or you can walk with someone, or you can walk with a bunch of people, and you can have different levels of relationship boundaries and not have it be this experience by learning the lessons between being guided by the light or guided by the dark, and healing from the trauma. Three of Swords in reverse. Healing from the trauma that's caused by these experiences and learning how to go up to the next level, right? And not stay down here in these are just lower frequencies of energy that we embody in our physical vessel, and we've demonized it and made it very scary. There's all these horror, there's a whole genre of horror, right? And then there's a whole genre of love. This is love. And most people, although many people appreciate horror, don't want to live in it. You want to watch it and be done with it when the movie's over. Ooh, that was scary, right? Get a little, woo, get a little, woo. There's a whole new Resident Evil coming out, Resident Evil 10. I don't know what it is. Um, and those little bursts of what it's like to be down there in hell, right, should be enough of an experience in life that we don't want to live it. I think people that enjoy horror movies are probably really smart because they get that shit out of their system. And then they realize that they don't want to be in that frequency. It's like touching a hot stove. It's like you don't need to do that too many. I don't need to do that too many times to realize I don't want to be holding on to that shit, right? The Hermit and the Seven of Cups. Seeing through all these illusions and knowing that really at the end of the day, being on your path, the Chariot, is about using discernment. This Hermit is discernment. He's looking outside of himself using the light, the truth, to see past all these Seven of Cups illusions here, or masks people wear in the dark, right? And having boundaries so that we can have this experience of moving forward in life as opposed to being traumatized and stuck and wasting all of our magic. We're magical beings. They would have us think that that's a fantasy, that we're just, they being the entertainment industry, which is run by people who are wealthy but not happy, and controlled by entities that harvest energy from the whole planet, right? They would have us believe that it's okay to not treat sex as sacred, right? Look at the porn industry, the corn industry. That whole $1 billion market is based on putting these down in reverse, because that energy doesn't need to just be sitting like it's okay. It's not okay. It's sacred. When we treat it as such, and you can choose to do however you want to, but when we see past the illusions that's created with this unnatural inhabited satellite outside of our earth realm that regulates frequencies while we sleep, that they're barking at it because of the frequencies it's emitting, that was put there. And there was a time on earth when this wasn't out here. It was put here, and it's, we can argue about why and who, but going forward, the value is seeing the truth in that it's another test to see through to the truth. Because regardless of who's or what's or when our external environment is reflecting to us, we don't have to reflect that back. Just because people are being evil doesn't mean we need to be evil back, right? That's breaking generational curses. If you grew up in a family that cheating was the baseline or the practice, and you experience it in relationships, lying and cheating and being shady and hurting the other person is okay and acceptable, and that this is a pipe dream, it's wasting a whole lifetime on a lesson you could learn right now. Choosing to learn this lesson. The lesson is to have boundaries, to not jump into another relationship until you've done enough understanding why this happened to flip the script, right? You want to flip the script on this bullshit right here, so that this is a choice and not a default that you're stuck in. It's a choice. If you choose to embody and interact with people in this energy, you will have the consequence of that being what people give back to you who haven't done any work on themselves, and people that have won't fuck with you. If that's what you're going to choose to be, is quote unquote evil, people will stop fucking with you. And the people that do are also that. If you choose to have this experience as long as you're here, regardless of regardless of its if it's in an intimate relationship or not, whatever relationship you choose, however you interact with anybody, is authentic and holy, then this is required. You got to flip this. You have to heal the heart energy. Healing the heart energy looks like being in the 10 of cups, doing a spiritual bath, cutting cords from the old relationships that were toxic, learning the lessons that were in those relationships and taking responsibility for being there in the first place, and how you choose to exit. If you choose to exit and say, is the other person's fault, this is a good test to see if people are ready for this. How did your last relationship end? Whose fault was it? If it's always the other person's fault, then I guarantee you the person's still connected to that person energetically. Even if they say they're over it, they're not, because they're blaming the other person. We chose to be in, a lot of these are soul contracts. 15, 18 on the timer. A lot of these are soul contracts, and if we choose to operate in them and not learn anything and not come here to experience what we came to experience in those contracts, and we choose to move on to the next one with trauma, we're going to re experience that same level of pain and transfer it to the next being, person that we get into a contract with, because we're still in the same space energetically. People go to counseling, people do self-help, people do church, people do meditation, people do nothing, and they expect access to this energy. This is a this is earned, and it's not that you don't deserve it. We all deserve. This is what we came here to experience, is being grounded and being rewarded for being on our path. And when we don't experience that, a lot of the reason is we haven't healed, and we have to own that. I feel like a lot of what I'm saying is, to my collective, gonna just be confirmation for people who are divines, who are doing the work. This is confirmation about what you already know. And for cross watchers or karmics, this is going to be confrontational, and it's going to potentially be an opportunity. This could be an opportunity. 1721 on the timer. The star and the world card is 1721. This could be an opportunity to step into a new cycle in relationships with yourself and every other person on the planet while you have a body. Taking it personally, yeah, I would take getting back on my path personally, but not against me who's channeling information, and not against anyone. Stop blaming anybody and start taking responsibility. And that means owning that shit. Yeah, I fucked over a bunch of people in relationships and I expect better. Okay, expect better and take responsibility. That doesn't mean you need to do a AA 12 step and go and apologize to everybody. You might need to go apologize for some shit that you did to people in relationships when you realize you fucked them over. The Sun card. When you realize how shitty of a person you were and take responsibility, to the karmics I'm speaking to now, you know, that might be all these videos out right now about people spinning the block. People are going to come back. A lot of it is they're getting karma because we disconnected, and they're not in the energy of someone who's done work on themselves. They're in their own energy and what they've been putting out and what they settle for and what they um, refuse to accept about reality. The veil is lifted, especially right now. So people see this coming a mile away, this low vibrational energy. You see right through it, cut right through it with a sword, right? The truth cuts through illusion. And people are choosing a different path. And the people who aren't are feeling like they're left behind and being punished, right? That's not a punishment. It's a wake-up call, Okay, 20:02 on the timer. So for the divines, this is confirmation that, enjoy your peace of mind, and whatever you choose to do, know that there are many people who are ready to walk with you. You don't have to be out here alone using discernment. Um, and for karmics and cross watchers, know that this is also available to you, but not from any other way than walking on your path, not comparing yourself to other people, doing the brave act of taking responsibility for mistakes and choosing to jump into a different timeline. You can't hide behind somebody else's energy that's in another timeline anymore. That's over. Sorry, not sorry. You should be sorry that it's over, but you should be happy that people aren't enabling you to walk the rest of your life in an illusion. That's not doing you a service. And I can take responsibility for having done that in relationships in the past, is knowing that the person that I'm in a relationship with is not doing what's required to generate their own happiness. They're expecting that they can just enjoy all the work I've done, right? And using the gifts they have to enjoy it, but skating by. I'm just seeing that little Bow Wow skate movie, ATL was it, where they go to the rink, and I used to love skating. Um, but how they just look like they're floating on air with the skates and dancing and effortlessly navigating around in the circle and in the cycle of life, effortlessly skating, right? It is effortless when you've done the work, but when you are, that's really not the best analogy, because it takes a lot of skill and being aligned to have that look effortless, but it's not. People don't just put on skates and float around the rink in unison, in harmony, aligned and balanced with everything and everyone. And people who try to mirror that energy, and we allow them to be around us when they are mirroring us by enabling them, that's not happening no more. And I think everybody deep down knows that, right? The high priestess. Everybody knows that. That is what's the new standard. 2343. I think that's irritating. I feel that from people. And it doesn't have to be upsetting. It really should be a relief. It should be a relief that you don't have to use all your energy acting like something you're not, when you can do the work and be something that you could be, that you really are, but you're just operating as if you're not infallible. You don't make mistakes. I used to refuse to say out loud and inside that I made a mistake. That wasn't part of it wasn't a tool in my tool bag. And I'm suggesting to people who don't have that, you want to get that tool called verbalizing and internalizing that you made a mistake. So you don't have to carry around these pain anymore, or stuff it down, or hide it. That's so toxic. That's why people get diseases. And that's why you experience Five of Pentacles. Look at this, guys on crutches, out in the cold. They're not without, but it feels pretty shitty in this energy. This is an energy. This card represents a certain frequency to embody when we haven't learned a lesson that's available here. The lesson for them, literally, if they're pain and cold and hungry, is to go in, whatever this is, a church, go in a church and get warm and fed and balanced. But this church this is inside our vessel. If our vessel is clean and pure, that's church. That's your temple. The church is supposed to represent the temple, and the vessel physical is your temple. Your house is your temple. Your job is your temple. When all of those things are aligned with who we really are, then you get the Ten of Cups. Then you get a life of balance. Then whatever energy you were born in shines naturally, and you magnetize somebody if you choose to be in a relationship that's on the same frequency. That's the blueprint. Blissful happiness emotionally, walking on the path balanced and learning from mistakes, shining like the star with this. Look at these stars. This is the blueprint. We were born 2641 on the timer. The blueprint when you were incarnated, your sun, moon, rising energies that the planets were externally is the blueprint you embody. Those are your gifts you embody that get to shine when you realize that the illusions, this is just a test. When you realize, it just sounded like, I don't know if some of the old school people remember when TV wasn't 24/7, and at the end of the night, the TV would go off and say, this is a test. Well, the TV would just go to snow. But there was another thing that happened with the TV to say, this is a test. The TV would say, this is a test for the emergency broadcasting system. I don't know why I'm getting that right now. Maybe somebody's going to resonate with that. This moon energy and the illusions that are here are not supposed to take us and keep us off of our path. It's just a test, and it's actually a reminder that if you're in pain, it doesn't have to be prolonged and experience it as suffering. Pain is to alert us that we need to work on something. 28:17 on the timer. Need some water. See, I'm being alerted to, like, there's a lot of fire in my stomach. I'm gonna cool it off with some water. I'm alchemizing inside my vessel energies that feel off balance. And we're mostly water. And we can put intentions into water because it holds frequency, right? So when I drink water, I think about the highest frequency of light encoding into the water at that frequency as if the water is a blank slate and I can make it whatever frequency I want. And then I ingest it. Same with food when I'm being present to ingesting food. Same with speaking when I'm speaking, that my heart is full of the highest frequency, which is truth. And when we intentionally embody those practices, we experience that externally. Whatever we internalize is mirrored on the outside. That's what this lesson is about. It's not about comparing to something outside. It's about embodying it and getting the confirmation externally. So I don't care who's in charge of this satellite that's regulating everything on Earth. I don't care. I've astral projected up here. I already know what's up there, by the way. Um, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter what they're doing because it's abhorrible. Abhorrible? You know what I'm saying? That word. Um, there's some toxic shit going on based out of that satellite. That's a whole nother topic. But it's not going to affect my choices, right? Once I see through the illusion, then that's a wrap, right? Once you know the truth, they can't play that game with you anymore. They can try and catch a whole bunch of karma. That's fine. They can have that experience. Once we see through the illusion, we don't have to embody this in prison, being on a prison planet. That's why I say I don't care. I mean, by that, what I mean is I'm not affected by it, and I don't, confirmation burp, excuse me. I'm not affected by it, and all that energy that's sent out that's not in our best interest goes back to whoever sent it. That's what I mean by I don't care. I don't care what happens to the energies that are not taking responsibility for their impact on Earth that's not positive. I don't care what happens to them. They don't give a shit about what happened to everybody else this whole time. So 31:43 on the timer, 44. So I'll just take it as a lesson learned that I don't bow down. I don't owe anybody shit. The only thing I owe myself and that I'm committed to giving anybody who's open to receive is the truth and an opportunity to heal. And if you're not interested in that, then have a nice day. Thanks for playing as if it were a game, and it's not a game. So, on that note, I'm going to close this video out. 3221, the world card. I'm hearing that song with all those artists, We Are the World. We literally power this planet, and it powers us with our breath and our movement and planting seeds and those trees growing and giving us air, and us breathing and moving, giving them air and life. It's a balanced system. And when we stop interacting with it in an imbalanced way, we experience it as a balanced system and a school and not a prison. It's a prison when you don't follow the rules or know the rules. And I'm not talking about societal norms and mass. I'm talking about universal law. When you know the rules of the school, regardless of what planet you're on this lifetime, whoever's in charge at the moment doesn't have to affect your experience as much as the illusion would have us like to believe in the Matrix, right? The Matrix was more about the spirit world than the physical. It might be a timeline where that is literally what's happening, but that's not what's happening on this timeline right now. Energetically, it happened for many people where their energy is being siphoned and harvested, and only a few are benefiting from a planet with infinite abundance to manifest for everyone, and everyone to be in abundance for only a few is a trap and a lesson for them and for us to wake up out of. So I'm being shown this card. Um, that's my truth. That's the highest truth I can give right now. 3443, because it's a mirror. My external and my internal is a mirror to me. And this truth I'm speaking is for others to resonate with and for confirmation. And for who it doesn't resonate with, it's an opportunity for you to be open to another reality, other than the one that you're experiencing. It's an opportunity. If you don't want to take the opportunity, then don't watch my content. If you already understand what I'm saying, you still don't have to watch it. But I hope that it provides you empowerment. This is to empower you to speak and be your truth. That's what we came here to do. And whatever else we choose to manifest, because we are embodying the creator energy. It's not a slave planet. I don't accept that. It's a school. And I've graduated and now I'm an instructor. So if you don't want to take my class, then don't take it. It's free. All it requires is of you to show up and be open to a frequency that I'm channeling after having an many ego deaths. So people want to try to say I give a shit about numbers or money that this generates, and I don't. This is going to reach who it's meant to reach, period. And that'll close out that cycle. Close it with a 0 and a 3. The divine feminine and 0 point energy. That's where we manifest. So 36, 33. All right, Soul Tribe. That's the end of this channel message. That's the part 2 from the previous healing relationships energy video. Thank you for watching. Much love, big hugs, and enjoy that frequency in that portal and walking on your path and being grounded. Peace.